let's keep talking about our quarterly refresh conversation. So it is March, which means we are about to enter a new quarter. And so all month we are talking about, sorry, I'm going to answer this question real quick. She is 6 months. That's bananas to me. Okay. All month we are talking about quarterly refreshes. And we have done a couple of different topics. This week we are talking about why. Why are we refreshing our goals? And specifically, why are we refreshing this early? Because when I say goal refresh, part of it is quarterly goals. If you set quarterly goals, that's a piece of the process. But checking in with our annual goals is also a big piece of the process. And you might be like, but it's like, we're not even 3 full months into the process or into the year. How could I possibly already need to reset or refresh my annual goals? And the truth is, you might not need to. You might go through the process and realize you're going to keep those goals exactly the same. Or you might realize that you want to change something about them. And so we're going to talk about why. We're going to go through an entire refresh to check in with our annual goals. The first one that we talked a little bit about last week, which is life changes. Life changes. You set your annual goals likely sometime in December. And even if you set them in January, your life is different from then. It is. Even if it's not blatantly obvious to you, some of you may have had giant life changes, right? A job change, a baby, a marriage, a divorce, something major could have happened in that time frame for you. And that you're like, well, yeah, of course my life changed. Most of the time, those kinds of big life changes we can somewhat anticipate. I did a video on this, by the way, like setting goals through life changes. If you are interested, I will link that after the live is over. But most of those kinds of big life changes, typically you know that they're coming. There's also big life changes that you don't see coming that can just surprise you: a death in the family, a layoff. Those are typically not as positive. Although there's also big life changes you don't see coming that are positive. You're in a serious relationship now that you weren't in December, right? Your life changed. Now, if you're somebody who is like, well, I didn't have one of those big life changes, so I probably don't need to update my annual goals. You may not, again, or here's some other reasons for you. You know way more than you did 3 months ago or whenever you set your annual goals. First off, you know way more about what works. Oh, there's a typo there. Hold on. Let's not have a typo. Laken. I wish this platform, which by the way is called StreamYard, I've talked about it before. I realized I got this idea from Sarah Cannon that they do have a referral program. So I linked the referral link in the description box. Most of you don't have a YouTube channel, so you probably don't care. But I wish there was a spell check option. Okay. So you know more about what works and what doesn't work for you. I have said before, goal setting is a lot of trial and error. You're going to try things and you're going to see if it works for you. Does doing it at this time of day work? Does setting a goal to do it this many days, does this work, etc.? Even just talking about my monthly and weekly tasks like I was in the goal check-in section, that is something that I am trying for the first time to really tackle it that way. And it is kind of working for me. I'm hoping by next month to do a topic about that, to dig into it a little bit more. But that's just a great example of something that I'm trying and figuring out that it does work for me. And 3 months ago, I didn't know that because I hadn't tried. I've also discovered some things this past 3 months that don't work for me and my goals, and that's fine. Even if you can't explicitly think of it off the top of your head right now, I promise there has been at least one thing in the last 3 months you have learned does or does not work for you related to your goals. You also know more about what your time looks like and what the next 9 months looks like. I talked about this at some point. I don't remember when. Okay, well, now I got a notification that my internet is unstable. What the heck? I feel like this is the first time we've really had this issue since I moved. I feel like we had it a lot in New York, and I feel like here we haven't had this issue. Okay, let me know if it gets bad. When we are planning our time, the further out we go, the less we know about what it looks like, right? 1 hour out from right now, you can probably somewhat pretty much guess what your hour is going to look like. 1 day out, you can pretty much guess. 1 week out, it's better, but it's not quite as good. Month out, a little bit better, definitely not as good. Quarter, so on and so forth. The further out you go in time, the less you know about what your time looks like. So when you planned for the year in December, you had somewhat of a sense of what the year was going to look like. And now you have a better sense, right? We've gotten 2 save the dates since I planned my goals in December, right? That's something that I didn't know about my time, that when I plan my goals. Is it going to make that big of an impact of our goals? One of them might make a big impact on our goals. So it is, you know more about what your time looks like. And once again, even if it's not a big thing like somebody's wedding save the date, it could also just be a little thing you know about what your time could be. You also know more about what is important to you. There is something to be said for learning while you're taking action and priorities coming to the surface while you're doing that. So when you are working on your goals, you learn about what is important to you and what isn't important to you. You start working on something and you're like, I don't want to be spending my time on this. This isn't a priority to me. You have learned more about that in the last 3 months. And again, even if you can't necessarily put your exact finger on any of these things, they are still true. The other thing I want to make sure that you know on why we do this process is that you are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to decide, I no longer want that goal on my list. You are allowed to say, I want to prioritize this goal over this goal. You are allowed to change your mind, and we are giving ourselves the space to make those changes. We are saying, this is the time I'm going to set aside to refresh my goals and potentially change my mind about my annual goals. And the last thing I want to say on this topic, you are more likely to achieve your goals for the rest of the year if you take the time to reflect and make the changes needed. I understand setting aside time this month to refresh and check in with your goals. You don't want to do it. You are like, I don't want to do that. I would rather spend that time working on my goals. But I promise that if you just try to not even hustle, that's not even the right word, but if you just try to keep doing the same thing, right? If you're like, I'm just going to take the same action steps and put them on April, you are less likely to achieve your goals. If you stop and reflect, prioritize, figure out what's working, what didn't work, you are more likely to achieve those future goals. So hopefully something in this whole spiel sparked in you that you now understand why it's important to refresh your goals. Every goal planner I've ever, okay, that's an exaggeration. Not every single goal planner. In general, most of the time, do you find that saying statements that are all or nothing or every or always or never, those aren't true. So it's not every goal. Most goal planners that I have looked at have some sort of refresh. They have some sort of check-in. You're going to check in on your goals at this time and you're going to refresh them. And that is because you need to do that. That is because it is helpful and valuable. So hopefully I said something, you were like, you're right. Not even that I'm right. It would be beneficial for me to spend time refreshing my goals. Last year, I did a video about refreshes, the steps to take to refresh your goals. So if you want to do it on your own, I have a video for you. Go watch that video, follow the steps that I talked about in that video, and go for it. However, if you need a little bit of extra accountability to get it done, whether you need that live on Zoom, we're all doing it together right now, or you need coaching with topics specific to right now. I made the video last year very much the general steps to take. If you need right here, right now in this moment in time, this quarter, this year, and or you want to do it live and have me in the chats to answer any questions that you have, help you break down goals, we are going to do it together live next Saturday. I can't believe it's 10 days away. Saturday, why don't I have a pop-up that says it's at 11 a.m. Eastern within the Goals with Laken community? We are doing the quarterly goal refresh. So you could join right now. If you wanted to join now, we have a call tonight that you could hop on, or you could join the minute before, grab the Zoom link and join. Either way, you're joining for a full month, and you can cancel at any time. So that's the topic. That's why refreshing our goals is so helpful.